Hey everyone, I'm here with Mychal-Bella Bowman, and you might have seen her face on the thumbnail when you watch Underground Railroad on Amazon Prime, because it also just won a Golden Globe. And that's super exciting. And we're going to get right into it because there are so many questions I have, because the show is a little heavy.
Yeah.
And I feel like even though you were acting in it, it might have been heavy for you too.
Yes.
So I know you started modeling before acting. Did you always know you're going to move on to acting, or was it a natural progression?
Well, at first I started doing pageants. So before any of like the modeling thing started, I did pageants. And at first I was like 2, 3, 4. So I wasn't really like thinking about my future. I'm just thinking about having fun playing with my friends, winning all these little crowns and stuff like that. But it wasn't until maybe I was like 7, 8 when I realized that it was going on a whole nother level. When I started acting, it was like going there. Yeah.
I love that. Now, can you take us through the process of your audition for Grace?
Well, first I went out 2 times in LA in person, and it was crazy because I didn't get a call back, didn't get anything, didn't hear anything back from them. And then I did a self-tape on the East Coast with a different agency, and we were going on the plane to North Carolina. And as soon as we got off the plane, my mom got a phone call from my agent. Was like, she booked it. She booked it on our railroad. And I was confused because I couldn't hear it. And my mom was like, oh my God, I'm gonna freak out. And all the people at the plane was like looking at us crazy. And we booked it off a self-tape without even going and having to do a callback and going and meeting Barry, the director, and the producers and stuff like that, which was really cool.
That's amazing. Now, for those who might not have seen the Underground Railroad yet, for some unknown reason, can you tell us who Grace is?
Grace is a very smart little girl. Grace also has another name, Fanny Briggs. Should I have said that? If you haven't watched it, I mean, you'll figure it out in episode 7. But that's
I got you.
Real name, Fanny Briggs. And I mean, you have to watch it. Grace is a very smart girl. She taught herself how to read and write. She's just living.
I mean, it was, especially it's intense because when we first meet Grace, it's in chapter 3, episode 3. And, Cora comes and she hides in the attic with Grace. And what was that like for you? Obviously, because you're filming a time period piece in which you haven't lived, but has so much historical meaning behind it, especially within the Black community.
It was different because one, it's different on set, rather when they edit it and they add all the special effects and things like that. So when I was on set, it was like I understood it, but I didn't. But when I actually watched it, it helped me get more of a adjust and kind of understand the Underground Railroad more. And of course, they teach it in school, but they don't teach you the actual truth. They cut out the important parts. So watching the Underground Railroad kind of helped me learn the important parts.
Because there are a lot of, like you said, we were taught the Underground Railroad, but it was a version that was more for white people, let's be honest, not so much for the people who actually went through it and their ancestors who went through it.
Yes.
Because that's true. Now, how did it feel to be a part of the show?
It was just amazing. The first day on set was, I didn't even how I booked it. I flew down to Georgia. The first day on set was the first day I met anyone. And I remember the first day seeing Barry and my castmate Chase. It was so weird. He's like, hey, give me them digits. I'll be your friend. It was so weird. And then meeting Barry, we just connected right away. It's just an amazing project to be a part of. It's like one big, huge family. And not too long ago, I went to a screening because I'm pretty sure they're starting their press tour soon, or they already started it. But I saw Barry and James and all those people. It was really nice just to kind of reunite, and I got to hug them, and it was just amazing.
I mean, how did it feel working with Oscar-worthy talent and an Oscar-worthy director? Because let's be honest, we had Moonlight. He gave us so many amazing projects within the last few years. How did it feel working with that? And what did you learn from your acting and from working with him?
Well, I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot that I've learned through those whole 116 days of filming, and then we had to break because of COVID, and then we had to restart back in September of 2020. I learned a lot from Barry and Thuso and all my castmates. I mostly shot with Thuso because she came into that crawl space with me. But one of the things that Barry taught me was to always be comfortable and let him know whenever let's say I want to improv a couple of words into a scene, or if I don't feel very comfortable with one of the scenes in the bathtub scene. I remember he's like, Michael, he pulled me to the side, me and my mom. He's like, how do you guys feel about this? Even though I had like a little like bathing suit, little tube top on, he was like, how do you feel about like doing this very intimate scene? And we were like, just tell the people who don't need to be there, just get out and then come back in when we're finished. And I was just very grateful that he gave us that option.
I love that, especially because there's a lot of things that happened back in the day that will never be appropriate. It wasn't appropriate then, and it's sure it's not appropriate now. And it really is highlighted in that show, especially when you have characters like Ethel and her own brand of how she feels we as a people should be treated.
Yes.
Based on, and her, at least her excuse was in the word on the Bible.
Yes.
And then, you know, the weird obsession she had with Cora. And in a sense, before, because episode 3 literally is that one time period for you guys. And then at the end of episode 3, it leaves us all shocked because the house gets put on fire with you still inside of it.
That's what they think, I'm still inside of it, but I'm not.
True, which we definitely learned in episode 7, because it's also titled Fanny Briggs. And it was literally one of my favorite parts of the series, one of my favorite episodes, a lot because as an actor, you know, we're always taught that it's not so much of when you're acting or when you're talking that promotes the best acting ability, but when you're in the silence of it all.
Yes.
And it's just that action in the silence. And for a good chunk of that, until I want to say at least the last 3 minutes, it's you, but it's your journey. And it's just, you have the track over it, and it's just watching you until you get to the train.
Yes.
And it was so beautiful to watch. How did that feel to film for you? And how did it help you with your acting too at the same time?
One thing it taught me with my acting is that you always don't have to have a whole paragraph, whole script of lines. You can act with your face and your emotions without even speaking. I think that helped me as an actor doing this project and kind of taught me how to get to this next level of acting. Yeah.
Definitely, and especially because like you say, you learn that you have 2 names. You have Grace and you have Fanny Briggs, because during that time, we were given other names instead of the ones that our parents gave us to make us more appropriated. I would love to say a better word for that, but appropriated. And also, like you said, Grace is a sassy, smart character, especially within that scene. She was holding nothing back from the older lady who was helping her. She gave as good as she got. Yeah. And that was awesome watching that scene, because you can just tell at that moment how wise beyond your years Grace is.
Yeah.
And what I want to know, also, that biscuit was huge and I wanted it.
It wasn't that good. It was very cold. I had to retake the scene like a couple of times, not that many times, but I had to keep eating it. Like, they had stacks of biscuits ready. And so after a while, they got cold. They were honey glazed biscuits. They were good at first. And after a while, I got sick of them. So they like gave me a little bucket to like spit out after every scene.
I mean, I love that, because it's true. Like, they were kind of like almost like this a bundt cake, like a small bundt cake.
Yeah.
And it made me wish I made biscuits like that.
Yeah.
It looked good, but like I definitely feel like if you've done it a couple times and it did get cold, it would not be fun to eat.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. What would you say? Because I feel like you and Grace share a lot of similarities, but do you think, where do you differ?
I feel like how I said earlier, how Grace like speaks with her emotions in her face. I feel like I would be more vocal, but me and Grace are basically the same people. Of course, we look the same, played by the same person, but me and Grace have the same character traits. Like I started reading when I was 3 years old, and I kind of taught myself how to read before I even got into school and stuff, which was amazing. And Grace is confident and she's not scared, fearless, and I feel like I'm the same. So I feel like there's not really much anything different other than me being a little more vocal than she is.
I mean, I love that. Now, what was surprising to you about the way people used to live in the 19th century?
I feel like not much of it was surprising because you can still see it if you pay attention and you like look through your everyday life. You can still see some of that like being used today, which is horrible how they just haven't left that in the past. But I feel like what was most surprising is that they would take like Mr. Martin, how he tried to save me and Cora. They killed him for just trying to save us, and he was like one of the good ones, and that was pretty sad to see.
That is very true because yeah, the way people treated others, especially who didn't view Black people as animals or lesser forms, somehow that made them a threat to the ideology.
Yes.
And I never understood why, but okay, cool. Because even when the Fiona, the Mick, they called her in the show, when she, well, granted, her actions of setting Martin's house on fire also caused the destruction of other homes surrounding it because of it. It was, and even though technically she was another white person, she was Irish.
Yeah.
And somehow that still didn't make her the same.
Yeah.
That still made her lesser than them.
Yeah.
And that is crazy.
Yeah.
Now, what was your favorite memory from set that you had?
Favorite memory, I always say this, the same one. There was that one scene where Cora was showing me her okra seeds and how I was telling her that she should give them away, not give them away, plant them so it can, grow. And instead of saying Cora, I said Sora. And I didn't stop because that's what most actors do. If they make a mistake, they just keep going and they can edit it out. If that's like a really good scene or just do it over again. And later on, after I finished filming the scene, my mom pointed it out. I kind of like marked in my mind, like, oh, I didn't say that right, but I didn't know exactly what I said. So me and my mom were laughing about the whole time. I was like, I said Sora, and I'm pretty sure they probably still have it somewhere. And I told Barry, and he was like, whatever. It's pretty funny.
It's okay. We got
Yeah.
it. I love it. Do you have any favorite TV shows that you're watching right now?
Any favorite TV shows? I just started watching Colin in Black and White. It's pretty new about Colin Kaepernick and how he was adopted by a white family, but he was Black because his family they weren't able to have another child, sadly, and so they adopted him. And basically, they don't really understand about the Black culture, and Colin wants to be and wants to learn more about his culture. And that's really all I haven't watched right now, but it's like intriguing me and it's like keeping me like on it because most of the time if I don't like the TV series or the movies, I'll like stop halfway and like this is not worth my time. Yes.
And I know you're working on some new things. Can you share any new projects?
No, we have to sign those NDAs. I can't really. I have been doing stuff. I just came back from New York filming an Amazon TV show. And then a bunch of Zoom callbacks. I just wish that we can do those in person. I feel like in person is way better, but it's all right. Zoom callbacks and auditions. We have a lot of those now. But yeah, still working. just have to, I can't say anything about it, which sucks because I like wanna explain what I'm doing and how my character acts and all that stuff, but I can't.
Well, I can't wait to learn about this new character and the new Amazon show you're on. Before we get out of here, just one final thing. Describe Underground Railroad in 3 words.
Humanity, powerful, and equality.
Oh, I love that. And it's definitely true. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with me and Mychal-Bella, because you have to watch the show if you have not already. It's already won a Golden Globe. It's on the Emmy track for this year, and it should be something everyone should watch to better understand what exactly the Underground Railroad was and what it did.